Hey guys, it's Eric with the Miller Park Minute, where we're throwing strikes and getting likes, hitting dingers and getting listeners. Back again with another episode talking Brewers baseball, as we like to do. Tonight, we got a victory over the Twins. So it's always a good night when we get a victory, but we're going to talk the victory. We're going to talk standings. We're going to talk scores around the league. We'll talk a little bit about just where we've been, where we've come from, kind of a continuation of last night's discussion that we had with Peter Go of the Barrel Bender. If you haven't checked out that podcast, go check it out. It's over on all of your favorite podcast platforms where we are daily: Rumble, Spotify, YouTube, Google, Apple, iHeartRadio, CastBox, Pocket Cast, just to name a few. Amazon, check it out. If you want to support this podcast, you can go over to patreon.com/MillerParkMinute, and you can join our newsletter. If you join down below on YouTube, you can also join and start getting newsletters and get in touch with me, possibly get on the show. We are going to be opening up a call-in feature where you can leave a voicemail or leave a comment, and I will read it live on air or play you live on air. So that's going to be coming in the near future, just like a radio show. I know a lot of you Wisconsin sports fans like to call in and chat with your favorite hosts. So we're going to offer that option. If you're not up in the late night hours in which I record said podcast, we are going to offer you that option. So let's get into the good, the bad, and the downright ugly of tonight's 7-3 victory over the Minnesota Twins. The Minnesota Twins are 65-61. They are first place in the AL Central. We are 69-57, first place in the NL Central. There's some good news about the NL Central coming later on in this podcast. So, pretty standard night across the board for the Crew. We got Wade Miley out on the hill. 7 runs with 3 hits. I'm sorry, 8 runs with 7 hits. 7 runs with 3 hits for the Twins. And it was a game about getting those little hits across the board. Offensively, on those 8 hits, we had a lot of singles. There was the one lone long ball by Willy Adames for number 20. So he's getting his mojo back. Really good to see that. Willy Adames is one of those guys that beats with the club, and I'd rather have him have 1 hit and it be a long ball in the right moment. Mark Canha has hit safely in 15 games now, or gone on base safely, I should say, is the correct stat. Tyrone Taylor got another big single. Turing got another single, a big one. It was a singles parade that brought us back to the lead in this game. It was tied up 3-3, and the singles got us to the lead. So we singled them to death, as my buddy Tyler said from Wisconsin Sports Heroic. Wisco Sports Fanatics? I don't know. There's so many names. That's why you got to be unique. You got to have the Barrel or Miller Park Minute. But yeah, so Adames homered. That was huge. I think he's going to go down in the good category. Miley throwing up 5 innings. Only real mistake was the long ball given up. He allowed 3 earned runs, 5 hits, struck out 4. Miley's pretty consistent across the board. Bryce Wilson did come in. That guy has been a champion for this team. He has been kind of that go-to guy when we need some innings, some time. He's got a couple 3-inning saves. He is just another good award for him. Well, Milner, underrated as all get out. I always bring up Milner. Always like to highlight him. McGill, really earning his spot, doing his best. Overall today, 9 strikeouts from the Crew's pin and starters. So lots of highlights here. The bad, I mean, you always want to convert that number. I think I always say I'd rather convert that 8 hits with 4 or 5 runs, but I know we can't score everybody. So at the end of the day, a victory is a victory. There's no downright uglies here. I think you just want to keep seeing the consistency like these games. Let's keep putting up games like this. Yeah. Let's go to the scoreboard real quick and talk about some scores around the league. So the Texas Rangers again lost 3-6 to those Diamondbacks. Those Diamondbacks are fighting. The Cubs also lost to the Tigers. Thanks, Tigers, 8-6. Tampa Bay beat up on Colorado 12-4. The Phillies beat the Giants 4-3. The Pittsburgh Pirates put a beating on the Cardinals. Oh, it doesn't get any better. It doesn't get any better than that. Last place teams just beating up on last place teams. Gotta love it. 6-3, the Blue Jays over the Orioles tonight. Washington 2-1 over the Yankees. The Yankees have been struggling. That's a crazy one. The Guardians beat the Dodgers 8-3. Wow. Excuse me. The Braves 3-2 over the New York Mets. Not goes without saying. Astros beat up on the Boston Red Sox. The Mariners keeping it going 6-3. Of course, our victory. The Reds final 4-3 over the Angels. The Athletics did beat the Royals. And the Marlins did beat the Padres. So if we take a look at the standings across the board, the important part is here Milwaukee stands at 69-57. 7-3 in the last 10. Our win streak is at 4. Hopefully going to 5 tomorrow. We got Burns on the hill, so I like it. But the Cubs are 3.5 back. The Reds are 4.5 back. And Pittsburgh is 8, and St. Louis is 10. I might have been wrong about St. Louis coming back. I really might have. It's hard to say that, but Dodgers still have a 12-game lead. Oh, my God, 12-game lead. We are the closest division. 12.5 for Philly to Atlanta. 1 for Houston to Texas. Okay, that's more reasonable. Minnesota, Cleveland is 5 games back of them. And Tampa is 2 back of Baltimore in the AL East. No, I wanted to talk about this for a minute. So with us being the division winner, and this came up on a couple podcasts today, division winner at this point, the way it's shaping out is we would actually play the Cubs in a wild card series at home. And a lot of Wisconsin sports people, podcasters and radio announcers were saying how, I don't know that I'd want to play the Cubs at home. I think that would be the worst series. I think that would be the best series. You know why? Because all those people, they would come here, would go home unhappy, and it would be great. It would get a little ugly, I'm sure, because it's the playoffs, but it would be great to send those Cubs fans packing, just like we did in game 163. So right now, division leaders are, of course, Atlanta, Dodgers, Milwaukee. Then we got the wild card, Philly, then the Cubs, then Arizona, then Cincinnati, then San Fran. Miami is on the outside looking in, and San Diego is on the outside looking in. Now this can all change. I mean, we got a couple weeks of the baseball season left, so let's not draw up play-up scenarios yet. I mean, I would love to have a different series, but I also like the fact that we could play the Cubs in the playoffs and really just put it to them. And I think this Brewers team could put it to the Cubs. We still have 6 games left with Chicago, including 3 at the end of the season. So that being said, that's gonna be put up for shut up time. We need to make that lead grow to more games, so it's not so detrimental once it comes down to it in the end for the division. My theory on that almost is you don't want to be fighting for the division into the final. You want to have a comfortable enough lead. In the past, I feel like we've locked it up too early and then lost momentum. So I'd like us to slowly gain momentum over the next month and a half. Just slowly. I mean, not, let's win some series. Let's take some series. Like, we can take this against the Twins, take it against the Padres over the weekend. The Padres are getting a good chunk of our rotation too. They're getting the better starters too. So if you look at tomorrow, obviously we got Corbin Burns on the hill in the day game, which it's going to be a hot one tomorrow. If you're going to that game, prepare for a heat wave. It's going to be 105, 110, somewhere in that range. Woodruff and Peralta to follow in the Padres series. Got a day off Thursday, and then we got Hauser on Sunday. So I like what we're putting out. I really do. I like where it's going. The only update to the leaderboards on the offensive side is obviously Willie Adames moves up to 20 home runs on the season. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the overall stats of the season. Now, this season has, as I talked about yesterday with Mr. Go, it has been one of unexpected. There has been a lot of ups and downs and injuries and things like that. Oh, we got injury updates. So now that they are back in Milwaukee, I'm gonna scoot back into my previous setup here. Ashby and Garrett Mitchell are there. They are doing some workouts, getting some training in, trying to test where they are to see if they can come back and come back for a late return down the stretch. That's about as good a news as we could hear out of two guys that were supposed to be big parts of this team and possibly out the whole season. So hopefully we could use some run in from Mitchell and if we could get a couple innings out of Ashby. I don't know how that would go or if we have a need yet, but it all depends on the needs. And that's what Counsell said in an interview too. So Frelick was scratched today with a hamstring. They're being careful. He sat out Sunday's series final in Texas with tightness in his right hamstring, but was back in the original starting lineup for Tuesday's game against the Twins after passing a series of afternoon tests. That didn't last, however. Shortly after batting practice, the Brewers announced that Frelick had been replaced in the lineup in center field by Joey Wiemer. So I think it's caution right now, especially with the young player like that. I'm not concerned yet, I guess, is my concern. Tomorrow we are going to see Caratini, so Contreras may get a day off, or he may DH. We'll see. That's important because down the stretch we want everybody to be healthy. And one of the things that I've talked about is the overall depth. I think one of the big things I harped on in the beginning of the year was the depth of this squad and how we have all these different guys and different options, fail-safes and things like that. Your Jesse Winker, at one point Luke Voigt were some names on this team. But I didn't talk about the fact that there are certain players that weren't really names that we thought we were really going to see. Owen Miller was a guy who I didn't think we had a place for. He's come up and played some games. He's currently sent down, but I mean he's a guy we could use down the stretch. injury happening, that kind of thing. Willie Adames, Christian Yelich, Contreras. Those guys have been mainstays. Of course, Caratini as well. Joey Weimer was a guy who took the place of Garrett Mitchell, spot on the roster, and ended up just kind of being there by force. They haven't really had an option, and Tyrone Taylor was injured at the beginning of the season. And I mean, I think they've all performed to some degree. I mean, you look at what Weimer has done for this team, it comes down to the offense of not barely existent at times, but he is also produced in big moments. He does have some home runs on the year, but he's more been the glove in center field. That's what he's been there for. And he does have some errors. He's a young guy. He's a rookie. That happens. Frelick came up at the right time. I think he filled in and lit a spark. But there's been a slew of talent on this team. I mean, Singleton played, Ramel Tapia, Luis Urias. Now we got Carlos Santana and Mark Canha filling in spots. So it begs the question, what are we going to do in the future, right? Well, I think we need to and I think this is where we're going, and there's a lot of uncertainty about the Brewers' future, but we're kind of riding out this current core group of guys and playing the hot hand. And that's, I think, the best thing the council can be doing at this juncture is playing the hot hand and playing who's hitting. As Frelick gets a lot of at-bats, a lot of play time, and they rotate out Weimer. When Weimer's not, if he goes on a cold spell. And I think that's exactly what they need to be doing with this team at this juncture. When we build a playoff roster, you're going to be looking at those factors, and you're going to say, okay, who has done best in these situations? And you're also kind of pigeonholed in certain spots because, for instance, where we had a third base, potential shortstop, second base in Luis Urias, you don't have that anymore. Now, a lot of guys are saying, and this is going to be my pitch, and I'm going to say this, and I've said this 100 times, but a lot of guys are saying, bring up these prospects, Mazeroski, bring up, Cheerio, and I think those are extreme break glass in case of emergency type of situations. You want those guys to get more time in A-ball, or AAA, I should say, not A-ball, AAA ball, because you want those guys to be as experienced as they can be coming in. You look at Joey Weimer and look at Bryce Turang. Joey Weimer has multiple times could have benefited from a send down, but at the same time, what are you going to do? Christian Yelich isn't a center fielder. We didn't have another center fielder on the roster, so we're at this point where we've kind of used up all the options we got, and we've got to do the best we can with what we've got. Now, that being said, if you look at team rank for almost all the offensive categories, we are in the high 20s, 27, 28, 27, 23rd. Home runs were 22nd. RBIs were 22nd. Walks, we are third, though. And stolen bases, we are 10th. Those are our two green and our two best stats. Pitching wise, we're ninth for wins and losses. Eighth for games started. Fifth in saves with 39. That's because a couple other guys besides Devin have saves. And defensive run saves was one of our really good categories as well. So this team has taken a village so far. It's been a very long go, but we're getting to the exciting part down the stretch. We've got these teams that are easier, sub 500. They're going to be a lot easier to beat. And I really think when we look at the long and short of where this season has come and where it's gone, versus how good we thought we'd be and how good we are, we're actually playing a lot better than we have last year, and we haven't had that drop off. There hasn't been a massive drop off. In fact, we're gearing towards a Craig Timber. I can feel it. I can feel it. Do you feel it? I mean, it's coming. Craig Timber is here. We're almost here. And it's going to be beautiful. As long as our guys stay healthy and we can keep performing, I think this thing with Frelick is a little scary, but I don't think down the stretch it's going to be the worst. Team batting average, 234, 28th in the majors. But on the flip side of the coin, ERA 3.97, 11th in the majors. So we're third in the National League, third best record. And as you see, I mean, I talk about these things week to week, and I talk about where we rank in the power rankings and how other teams stack up. The AL teams have always kind of been a better team records and better positionally, and they've got more money. So I'm not playing that card right now. I'm not talking about that, but that's where we are, and it's been a fun ride, and I think it's only going to get more fun day by day. And we put a W on the board tonight, and let's run with it. Let's roll back. Let's do it tomorrow, guys. We got Corbin Burns on the hill, so the runs are going to be scarce for the Minnesota Twins. We just got to put some runs up on the board, maybe another 7th spot, another 10 spot. I will be back again tomorrow. Maybe sometime in the afternoon I might do a live session. We will see. All depends on how the day goes. But we'll be watching. We are. If you want to get at me on Twitter, hit me up on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. I flip back and forth. Or leave a comment down below on the video, and I will try and read it. Like I said, we're going to be setting up a voicemail line in the next few days, a way to contact me directly, and just leave me a message. If you want to leave me a voice message on any of the social media platforms, you're welcome to do so. Look me up, Miller Minute, on Twitter, Instagram, go to Facebook, wherever you want to go. All right, guys, that's all I got for you tonight. Thank you for watching and listening to the Miller Park Minute. Go back and listen to the episode with Peter Grohl. That was a fun one, a good hour-long conversation. So if you enjoy those longer podcasts, first of all, leave a comment and say you enjoy longer podcasts. But second of all, go back and listen to that one. That's a good, long Brewers-based discussion. All right, guys, thank you for watching. As always, go Brew Crew. We'll get them tomorrow.